I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize some of our special guests tonight. We have Chief Cummings from UNC Pembroke Police Department.
Go Braves.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Locklear from Pembroke Police Department. Captain Jacobs from Robertson County Sheriff's Department. And his brother, I'm not sure of his rank, but Randy from Sanford Police Department. If I missed any of our police chiefs, and I would like to also recognize the second time Chief McNeil with the Lumber Police Department, who provided our invocation. On the stage in front of us tonight, would also like to recognize, beside Dr. Gold, is Mr. William Locklear, his Assistant Vice President. In the second row, hard to see, is Mr. Mooney, who is the Vice President. They are the two people that are responsible for the Criminal Justice Department, as well as the basic law enforcement training program. So, like I said, these are the individuals who helped make tonight possible for all of us. This time, I will ask Mr. Rudy Locklear to come and introduce our guest speaker for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Biggs. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you.
I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker tonight. To my right is First Sergeant Jody Green of North Carolina Highway Patrol. First Sergeant Green is the current supervisor of the Robeson County District of the Highway Patrol. He supervises a number of troopers, the day-to-day operations of the Highway Patrol here in Robeson County. So I'm pleased to be with you tonight to introduce our guest speaker. I've had the honor of knowing First Sergeant Green for over 15 years of my professional criminal justice career. He has amassed over 28 years of law enforcement experience, which includes years of service as a police officer with the Chadron Police Department, as a narcotics detective and canine handler with the Columbus County Sheriff's Office, and currently as the First Sergeant with the North Carolina Highway Patrol here in Robeson County. First Sergeant Green holds numerous advanced law enforcement certifications to include North Carolina Criminal Justice Training and Standards Commissions, Advanced Law Enforcement Certification, and First Line Supervisor Training Program, and he's also a recipient of the Meritorious Group Service Award. He's a graduate of the Administrative Officers Management Program and an active North Carolina General and Specialized Training Instructor. He's a field training officer. He has certifications in defensive tactics as an instructor. He's a driving instructor. And also, for those that have had the pleasure of his training, he's also a highly electrifying taser instructor. First Sergeant Green's motto is to be a leader in the public safety community through innovation, technology, and community partnerships, which is achieved by delivering excellence in service and anticipating and responding to the ever-changing needs of the community. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, First Sergeant Jody Green of North Carolina Highway Patrol.
Thank you, Rudy. You made me sound important, didn't it? Folks, I'd like to acknowledge executive staff, RCC, and also the instructors that spent their time teaching these young gentlemen. It's been an honor. It's an honor to be here tonight to speak to you. To the 2018 Robeson Community College Basic Law Enforcement Training graduates, I congratulate you on your accomplishment. First steps of your career begin now. You have spent endless hours preparing for this night. You have completed 644 hours prepared for a state exam. I'm sure some of you spent some time putting some ice on some muscles, the little bit of PT you have, is that correct? BLET folks consist of 36 separate blocks of instruction. Students are tested on each block individually. They must successfully complete a state exam. That's a lot of training. That's a lot of time being a student. Y'all agree?
Yes.
Before we can go forward, we have to examine first where we have been. It is because of the families, you sitting out here in the office, that these students sit here today. I believe that the training of the individual to become a law enforcement officer does not begin on the first day of class. It begins on how they were ready. I believe that the necessary traits were taught long ago by you. First, the code of conduct, the beacons, morality, loyalty were instilled in these students long before tonight. I'm grateful for you to endure and have endured a great deal during the past time while your student is in class, studying for tests. You were at home making sure that the family continued to function, cleaning the yard, fixing busted pipes, anything of that nature, making sure the kids got to school. I would like to thank you for your commitment, for allowing your student to pursue their dreams. Law enforcement is not for everyone. And on the first day of BLET class, the group typically starts with more people than what we have done before. But along the way, some were lost. Some were lost for personal reasons. Some were lost for physical reasons. And some were lost because they didn't want to make the ultimate sacrifice that it takes to be a law enforcement officer. So it is with great pride and honor that I stand here before you today as the guest speaker for this graduating class. The students who did make the sacrifices and the family and friends that supported these students. Tonight, gentlemen, I'd like to challenge you in two ways moving forward with your career. You will be faced with adversity, a world filled with compromise. My first challenge to each of you is always do the right thing. One can never go wrong when they do the right thing. There's numerous quotes, catchphrases, doing what is right. The Bible repeatedly tells us, do what is right. Leadership courses that eventually you will be able to attend will tell you, do what's right. Motivational speakers speak on that daily. In this world of compromise and political correctness, the one action that will always be just is doing what's right. Do not fall prey to taking the path that sometimes seems easy. Believe that you can make a difference in this world by enforcing the laws of this great state and by serving your fellow man. Remember that situations and adversities can make you bitter or better. Choose wisely, allowing them to make you better. Learn from your mistakes. You're going to make them. My second challenge to each of you is to never stop learning. As I began talking tonight, I've used the word student quite often. The reason why the word student, to put it in your mind, you may believe that you are no longer a student when you graduate here tonight. You're sadly mistaken. I challenge you to forever be a student. A student, by definition, is a learner or someone who attends an educational institution. More importantly, a student is also defined as one who is actively seeking knowledge. The difference in the two definitions is that the second definition differentiates between someone who is learning because it is mandatory or required versus someone who seeks to learn on their own. That's my challenge to you. The world around us, you so hard or trying to protect, they're going to turn their back on you. You get ready to experience something you've never experienced in your life. It's entirely different. Well, it's a calling, guys. It's a calling. It's not a job, it's a career, and there's a difference. Never stop learning, for if the day comes that you no longer consider yourself a student, the world will surely leave you behind. Closing, I like Paul Harvey, a famous commentator. You know, his dad was a policeman. His dad was killed when Paul Harvey was 3. And he wrote this. He said, what is a policeman? A policeman is the composite of what all men are, a mingling of saint, sinner, dust, and deity. What that really means is that they are exceptional, they are unusual, and they are not commonplace. Buried under the froth is the fact, and the fact is less than 1/2 of 1%. Now listen, it's 1/2 of 1% of policemen misfit these uniforms. And that is better average than you would find among clergy. We're not as corrupt as people say. What is a policeman? He of all men is at once the most needed and the most wanted. A strange and nameless creature who is served to his face and pitied, or even worse, behind his back. He must be such a diplomat that he can settle differences between individuals so that each will think he won. But if the policeman is neat, he is conceited. If he is careless, he's a bum. If he's pleasant, he's a flirt. If he's not, he's a grouch. He must make instant decisions which will require months for a law. But if he hurries, he's careless. If he's deliberate, he's lazy. He must be first to an accident to infallible with a diagnosis. He must be able to start breathing, stop bleeding, tie splints, and above all, be sure the victim goes home without a limb. The police officer must know every gun drawn on the run and hit where it doesn't hurt. He must be able to whip two men twice his size and half his age without damaging his uniform or without being brutal. If you hit him, he's a coward. If he hits you, he's a bully. The policeman from a single human hair must be able to describe the crime, the weapon, the criminal, and tell you where the criminal is hiding. But if he catches the criminal, he's lucky. If he doesn't, he's a dummy. He runs, files, writes reports until his eyes ache. To build a case against some felon who will get dealt out by a shameless shameless. The policeman must be a minister, a social worker, a diplomat, a tough guy, a gentleman, and of course, this is the most important part. Y'all listen. You will have to be a genius, or he will have to feed his family on a policeman's salary. Congratulations. Thank you for your time.
And at this time, we would ask the class leader, Patrick Locklear, to come give his insights.
On behalf of the 2018 night class at RCC, we would like to thank all the instructors, coordinators, all the executive people from the RCC for all they've done with their training. Thinking that we have matured within the 9 months that we've been here from where we were when we started to where we are now. And hopefully the training that we've received will allow us not to stay as patrol officers, but also help us in the future to be leaders in our departments. There have been times that we've faced personal encounters, family, even in class. But the one thing about this group is we've stuck together. We've always helped one another when one was struggling. There have been times when it seemed that it was just too much for us to bear for these 9 months, working every day, coming to school at night, getting up, going to work, coming to school at night. On behalf of the class, I would like to thank our spouses, our parents, our families, our boss men for the support that they have for us during this time. We couldn't have done it without you. I also would like to thank God for His grace and for His mercy that He has bestowed upon us. For truly without Him, we wouldn't be nothing anyway.
Amen.
But as Jesus said it best in Matthew 5, blessed are the peacekeepers. And that's what we're here for just at this day, is just to be a peacekeeper and to do the best of our ability. And at this time, from the class of 2018 to Mr. Biggs, Director, we'd like to present you this. And also, on behalf of 2018 night class,
Tell what y'all's nickname is.
we started out with 8. We ended up with 5. So our nickname is the Fab Five, if anybody knows anything about basketball. Thank you.
This has been an exceptional group. Typically, when we start these academies, the state usually required us to have 10 students, but this was one, under special rules, we were allowed to start with a minimum of 8. And like I say, this is the smallest academy that we have run. And I think it's a credit to them that out of 8, 5 are finishing. To give you a comparison, we have a day class that started this January. They've only been here about 4 or 5 months now. They started with 16 and they're down to 10. So like I say, this has been an exceptional group of young men. They have done an extraordinary job under the circumstances. I'd like to also recognize or repeat what Patrick had to say. I'd like everybody to give yourselves a hand for the jobs you've done to support these guys for the last 8, 9 months while they've been here. There's a lot of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. There's been a lot of Saturdays. There's been some late nights after midnight. There's a lot of early morning times they've been out. But give yourself a hand for the job you've done to support them to make it this far. And I'd like to ask another group I missed earlier, the ones who helped make this program. I'm just the director. I'm the one that keeps the wheels on the cart. The true guys who make this program work are the instructors and those who have been taught in this program. If you would, please stand. I say, give these gentlemen a hand because they're here tonight. Now, I think we're to the point that everybody came here for.
On your feet, move. Left face. Forward, march.
Welton Carr.
Yay! Hi to Mama.
Brandon Jacobs. Luke Locklear. Patrick Locklear. And James Oxendine.
Boo.
There. You see.
As part of the program, we have some extended blocks that we call practicals. They include firearms training, driver's training, physical fitness, subject control rest techniques. And due to the length of these blocks, students are able to achieve some special things sometimes. And the instructors who normally teach these blocks like to recognize some of those accomplishments. One of the first ones we'd like to recognize tonight is in the training area of firearms.
Everybody hear me? The firearms block for BLET, and y'all have to forgive me because Captain Morton usually does the firearms presentation, but he couldn't be here tonight. So I'm trying to remember in my mind what he usually says during the graduation. But the firearms block for BLET is a 48-hour block, and it consists of 8 hours in the classroom and about 40 hours on the range. And during that 40 hours of training on the range, we try to pour all of our knowledge that we have onto them in that short amount of time. Especially when we have some classes where we have students that have never even handled a firearm before. And we have to get them qualified so they can move on to the next event. During qualifying, we start out slow with them. We teach them how to draw the weapon out of the holster, present it to the target. Then we move on to dry firing and then practicing the course. Then they have to actually shoot a qualification course, which is 50 rounds, consisting of shooting from the 3, 5, 7, 10, and the 25-yard line, both day and night. During that time, they shoot from the standing, they shoot kneeling, and they shoot from the prone position. And they have to pass that course 2 out of 3 times in order to move on. Like I said, sometimes that can be a little daunting to try to get everybody through that, especially with a large class, when you've only got a 40-hour block to do it with. Once they do that, we move on to what we do is called a combat course, where we show them how to shoot from behind barricades, shoot from behind cover, and they shoot from different positions, both standing, kneeling, and prone. Put a little stress on them, yell at them a little bit, get their heart rates up to see how they react when they're under stress. Because when the real thing happens, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be calm and standing and facing a target that's standing right at you and it's not moving. Like I said, it's been said before, we appreciate all the families coming out. We try to give them everything that we can during those 40 hours. Okay? We try to prepare them as much as they can, so when they move on to an agency, they can start expanding on that. So that way, if they're ever working, excuse me, when that moment of truth arrives and you're faced with it, they come home safe to you at the end of the night or in the morning. So my advice to you all, and I told you this on the range, always stay proficient with the firearms that you're carrying and know how to use them. Okay? While the bad guys might spray and pray, when you have to pull the trigger, you've got to shoot true. Okay? But that's my best advice to all of you. During the qualification course, like I said, they have to qualify 2 out of 3 times. We take both scores for each individual, we average them together, and we have what's called a Top Gun award that we give out. And for this class, the Top Gun award goes to Welton Carter.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Yeah, buddies. That's my boy.
Okay, one of the challenges with a class this small is we have a certain amount of resources we have to commit to the program when we start. And in the area of firearms training, the college has to reserve 1,000 rounds of ammunition for practicing and qualifying. And the problem with a class this small was these guys got to shoot a lot. Usually we send out 5 students with 5,000 rounds. We get some back with a normal class when we had 10, 12, 15 people in it. This was one of the classes, it was like they didn't want to bring anything back and kept asking for more. So like I say, they got their fair share of shooting, that's for sure. The next one I'd like to ask is Mr. Mears, who is the lead driving instructor.
Okay. Good afternoon, folks. Thank y'all for being here. Family, thank you for standing behind these cadets. It has been a long, trying ordeal for them. They've been here for 9 months. Y'all can have them back after now we're through with them, just for right now. On the driving track, there's several cone courses that's set up. One of the biggest things is parallel parking. They were always scared to death of parallel parking, but believe it or not, they didn't hit Mickey's vehicle and they didn't hit Mike's vehicle when they were practicing out there in the parking lot this time. So they were pretty good with it. But with the cone courses, they have to score at least a 70, 2 out of 3 times on them. Some of them are courses where if they hit a cone, you automatically fail. If they go the wrong way, if we call for them to go right and they go left, that's a failure. It's just trying to get them used to someone walking out the road in front of them.
On our wall in the classroom, there are a list of officers that have been killed in the line of duty since this class started. There are more on there that have been killed with automobile wrecks than they have with firearms. And we try to really push that into them, to be safe. We make sure they're wearing all their safety equipment, make sure they're putting their hands where they're supposed to be and braking where they're supposed to be and trying to get them back home to you. But after everything was done, day and night, we had a top driver. He scored the highest. We took the scores and averaged them up. Every one of them was real good. It was one of the highest classes we've had, I think, as far as the grades go. But our top driver this time was Patrick Locklear.
Okay, next one is for the training area of physical fitness, and if he doesn't mind, I'll ask Stephen Earl Jones if he would come up and present this one since his cohort, Mr. Webb's not present.
I guess one of the, some of the other instructors will disagree with me, but I guess one of the hardest things would be PT, the physical training portion of the BLET, because, well, it's PT, and nobody likes to push-ups, nobody likes to sit-ups, okay? But, so the lead instructor, I guess he had to make it. So I'm one of the assistant PT instructors. I was up there pretty high on the ladder at one time, and then he's got a policy, Mickey does. If you ever reach 38 in the waist, he breaks you down to assistant. So I always tried to fool him. I would take my blue jeans and I'd take my 36 tags off the old blue jeans that I had, and I'd, stitch it onto the back of the blue jeans. So when I come in, Mickey would always look, he saw 36. So I was always in good standing. I was doing good. One day, made a mistake. Had to buy new blue jeans. Came out. Still had the 38 on it, and I forgot all about it. And I noticed Mr. Biggs kept looking at me. He was looking. He was looking. I said to myself, I must be looking pretty good today, getting some eyes from the big man. But he called me on the carpet. He said, Stephen, I noticed you've moved up to 38 in the waist. I said, what you talking about? And then he hit me. Oh my goodness, I forgot to change the tag. So, all right. So during the physical fitness block, we don't necessarily give this award to the person that's the most physical fitness, because sometimes some guys come in from BLET, some guys and some ladies will come in and they can run a mile and a half already in 10 minutes. They can do 50 push-ups in a minute. And they were physically fit when they came. So what we try to do is present the award to the person who was the most improved. Sometimes some people come to BLET and can't do 6 push-ups. But by the end of the program, they'll be able to drop and do 40 push-ups, 40 sit-ups. And so they were the most improved. So this is what we try to recognize. And the most improved physical fitness person in this class goes to Patrick Locklear.
Okay, we have one last presentation, and we're going to ask Ms. Chavis, who is the program coordinator. She's the one who kind of helps handle to keep all the paperwork and make sure that we cross all our T's and dot all our I's to make sure we keep the state happy. So without her, we would all be in trouble probably. But she is here to present the last award, the honor graduate.
Okay. The honor graduate award goes to the cadet that had the highest average throughout the academy and who didn't fail any tests. And for this academy, that award goes to Mr. James Oxendine.
All right.
time, we would ask everyone to give our cadets one last round of applause. And if you would, please remain seated for their recession.
On your feet, move. Left face. Forward march.
And this concludes our program. Thank you for coming.